The Pandora Rift Zone is no longer available, just like many of the features in the review builds of the game that the crossover tie-in is based on Borderlands 3, because 2K and Gearbox can't get out of its own way, but thankfully there are not one but two new locations to check out with the latest Fortnite patch. Those two Rift beacons that started off in Dusty Depot during its construction finally made its way over to Paradise Palms and the Frozen Lake, where we now have Moisty Palms, which is something that you'd never want to describe your trees as, and the return of Greasy Grove, which is a welcome change from having people slide all over the map, because Epic decided to make lag a feature instead of actually fixing their networking. Of course, since developers can never just make a new old-fashioned location without somehow putting in dumb shit, Moisty Palms thankfully isn't another big fuck-off body of water to slog through, but instead trees and foliage encroaching on the desert town. But whenever you crouch, you turn into props, looking around with ADS and exiting by hitting the fire button, because apparently the prop hunt creative mode wasn't popular enough for the amount of development resources that were sunk into it. Thus, they needed to infest the regular game with it, and Greasy Grove gets a new taco location instead of Durburger. But the reason for the food that you can only eat with your head tilted sideways is that it's raining tacos. Donald Trump's worst weather enemy, no, not hurricanes that don't go anywhere near Alabama, in spite of him sharp being in that it was going to. And when this weather event occurs, players will dance as if they're boogie bombed, with players unable to shoot but also being invulnerable to damage, aside from the storm in this temporary state, with gaining 20 HP per second. These tacos that are found on the ground are then consumable, if you don't give a fuck about the 5-second rule, as leaked in a previous video, that behaves similarly to the spicy peppers, granting 10 health and or shield, plus increased movement for 20 seconds. Although I'm not sure why it's not 60, just like the peppers were recently buffed to. Other than the lack of a frozen lake, the only other positive from these rift zones is that prison is also returned with the Moisty Meyer Paradise Palms, offspring from their ugly one-night stand, in case you used to land there to gear up without much confrontation like the beta that you are. Another new feature with this patch is the ability for the community to influence what Epic decides to put into the item shop, so that people with access to their parents' credit card can overpay for things to play dress up with in a shooter game. The first vote will take place when the item shop changes over at 8 p.m. Eastern time today, and you can vote once per day. But of course, we all remember back when the devs put something being added into the game to a vote, we got the AIDS that is the drum gun. Speaking of SMGs, the only burst weapon in the game, the Burst SMG, has been vaulted, with the Tactical SMG returning for the first time since the start of Season 5, aside from 24 hours during the Days of Summer event, because why reward players that can actually aim when you can instead have a gun with 11 more bullets per magazine and the ability to just hold down the trigger? Not only is it the second best anti-build weapon just based on fire rate and magazine size alone, but there's also a bug where it's got no damage range drop off against buildings. Nice testing there, Epic. Lastly, in meaningful changes, the volume open and close sounds of a teammate's glider are reduced by 50%, which makes those redeploy modes less like being at an all-day rock festival, and they nerf the brute by lowering the damage done by the stomp. However, we can't really test out this tweak because the mech has been temporarily disabled while an issue is resolved, but this isn't so much a problem with the patch as much as it's a happy little accident, as Bob Ross would call it. There's also data mine evidence of a social ban feature that was implemented that will disable the chat, which is obviously for toxic players annoying you in the game's voice chat, because believe me, I've tried to rage type to people in the match before and it just doesn't fucking work. Speaking of leaks, even though this patch didn't find any new gameplay affecting beepity bops for future updates, there are plenty of things that were data mined, including challenges, cosmetics, and possible future rift zones. The limited time free weekly challenges named Summer Slurp, even though the unofficial end of summer was back on Labor Day, will go live this Thursday, and they are as follows: 1 explosive weapon elimination, which is now much more difficult with the proximity nade launcher going away recently, using 2 different trap slots items, which doesn't include the recently added Zapper Trap, searching a chest, ammo box, and vending machine in the same match, dealing 500 damage to opponents with shotguns, which should be easy unless you're playing the fucking game wrong, landing at Frosty Flights or Haunted Hills in 3 different matches, so I hope you save some of those boogie down challenges that required you to land at either of those places, otherwise yikes dog, dealing 200 damage to opponents with pistols, the only time you should ever be using that weapon category, and finally, searching chests at the freshly added Greasy Grove or Sunny Steps if you fancy stone for mats at the start of a match. Complete 3 of these challenges and you'll get this loading screen here, which is basically the After Dark version of the Season 5 Week 4 Pool one, with people getting hammered on that slurp. The hidden battle star is a bit cryptic, but check out that creepy looking taco decal on the wall, hinting at the location, which can be found in the brand new taco shop in Greasy Grove near a corner booth in the northeast side of the restaurant facing the main road. For people that did pay for a character dangle, the tasks for the Team Spirit mission, which will be difficult to do if you're #foreveralone, are playing 3 matches with a friend, assisting 5 teammates with eliminations, so help a default get their first kill, stroking a teammate's pet, so let's all have an agreement on wearing those type of back blings for the foreseeable future, healing a teammate with a chug splash in 3 different games, mark an uncommon, rare, and epic item before then snatching them up for yourself like a douche canoe, dealing 1,000 combined damage damage with your squad or duo, and being like Evanescence and bringing one of your teammates to life in 3 different matches. Complete all of these like a good husband with their honey-do list, and you'll be able to prestige the mission to crank up the difficulty, with the new task being to finish top 20 with a friend, getting those 5 assists in a single match, which isn't that tough in Team Rumble, using a launch pad in squads or duos for a helping hand to getting into the safe zone, healing a teammate with a cozy campfire in 3 different games, marking a chest, shield item, and other healing item in a single match, dealing that 1000 damage with your squad or duo in the same game, and finally rebooting a teammate, so grab the person on your friends list that licks the most windows. There are also a new set of challenges relating to cosmetic items, with the secret skin finally being revealed that's awarded for completing either all of the mission sets or all of the limited time challenges with the hidden banners for 8 of the 10 weeks. I don't know which one it is yet because we're only starting week 7 tomorrow, so this will be unavailable until at least the next update. The set of tasks are called a Meteoric Rise, and these mostly involve the infamous rift zones, which would have been awesome had Epic not continually botched the execution of said nostalgia areas, with destroying 10 different structures with junk rifts, visiting 3 different rift zones in the same match, eliminating 7 opponents at rift zones, searching 20 chests and or ammo boxes in rift zones, landing in a rift zone, then going on to place top 10 in solos, duos, or squads, consuming 4 different types of glitch forage items in the former soccer stadium term crater, which somehow is the best rift zone in spite of it just being a giant fucking hole, and finally a triple play of touching a giant glowing cube, entering the rift above Loot Lake, and surging a landing pod on a giant meteor, of which I'm not quite sure about the first or third task here. It might be a hint at what's to come this season, since you can't actually touch Kevin just yet because of the wind vortex, and there isn't anything on the meteor to search as of now. Anyways, complete 4 of these to get the Star Surge back bling, and completing all 7 tasks will award you the Visitor Volta skin. Lastly, in skin related challenges, there will be a new P1000 bundle, a pun on the main antagonist of the Terminator series, which is the real reason why they built a robot factory at the volcano, not for the season 9 event nor the season 10 brute vehicle, but to have Peely be all like Krang from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. This traveler bundle will reward up to 1500 V-Bucks for completing a set number of free limited time challenges. However, it's not yet available in the item shop. Now that we're on the subject of unreleased skins, there's plenty of them with today's patch, and they are as follows. There's a new mascot for the taco building in Greasy Grove called Guaco that has an Always Tuesday wrap. Too bad you can't combine Margarita Monday and Taco Tuesday, and even its own emote Taco Time that's a recycling of the Nana emote, but holding the best kind of shelled consumable, fuck lobsters and crabs. More on food, the Limelight skin, which is an outfit you'd never find at a Rush concert when they play the song of the same name, combined with the Sour Strikers Harvester, Wedge back bling, and Zesty wrap to form the Citron set. To go with the food mascot theme, there's also a PJ Pepperoni outfit for people with a pajama fetish that also has a pear Peroni, dual asset flip with garment drape harvesting tool, and cheesy back bling that is one fromage I'd never sample by the color of it. As if the sleep theme wasn't enough, there's also a slumber skin with different styles, which strangely has its head detached, with the Nighty Night Axe, Night Fight Glider, Dreamer back bling that looks like one of those lights that went out of style way back in the 70s, and a Dreamy wrap completing the Dreamy Days set. In the same vein of dreams is the Starly skin and Starlet back bling that looks like every single parent's Facebook post of their daughter on the first day of school. When the fuck did that become a thing, and can we just kill it off already? Also a skin with multiple styles, there's Moxie, which hopefully has more staying power than the soda of the same name, with the Clobber Axe Harvester, and Moose in a defensive boxing pose back bling to make up the TKO set that doesn't really scream knockout to me, more like comfy plush. Hot Wire that continues Epic's Black and Yellow Wiz Khalifa obsession with the Megavolt Axe and Turbo Coil back bling for the Wild Shock set. Payback that's definitely not like the Mel Gibson movie, which is smart on Epic's part to stay the fuck away from that walking disaster, but the Chain Cleaver pickaxe and Spike Shell back bling round out the set. There's also the Street Striker skin with the Av Axe for the maximum amount of sketchy, and Toxic Tagger with Pry Pack back bling because Epic still hasn't squeezed enough blood from the stone of graffiti artists. For non-set related skins, there's Sure Shot, that's the male version of Bullseye, Sergeant Sizzle, the female version of Grill Sergeant, and Swamp Stalker that isn't smiling but probably won't have any teeth to show off anyways based on the outfit description. In wraps, there's Faded Cool, which does actually fade but doesn't look cool based on the warm color palette, and Prismatic Edge, which is basically the car chameleon paint job but for your guns. Lastly, in cosmetic leaks are a couple of emotes, Pizza Party, which is every fat ass's routine, and Rage Quit, which is my routine, except swap out that inferior input device for a mouse and have a cracked monitor show up somewhere. Also in leaks are some assets that pertain to the construction that's happening at Dusty Depot, as it appears that there are some in-game files that relate to a rocket being built, which was the event way back at the end of Season 4, but since Epic is the greenest company around, apparently apparently it's recycling that idea for yet another event, this time that will actually be able to see the visitor igniting the projectile. Finally, there's a new list of 13 point of interest that were added with this patch in typical alliteration naming convention. Beachy Bluffs, Camp Cod, Dirty Docks, Frenzy Farm, Holly Hedges, Lazy Lake, Mountain Meadow, spelt meadow wrong by the way, Power Plant, Slurpy Swamp, Sunny Shores, Weeping Woods, and Creative Island, which we already have, but it might be similar to the block where this new area is rotated in and out. Even though this season is basically based on changing locations to other former selves, none of these names are a blast from the past, although some have ties to current spots like Power Plant for Pressure Plant, Lazy Lake for either Loot Lake or Lazy Lagoon, Sunny Shores for either Sunny Steps or Snobby Shores. This then lends to a theory that Epic is planning on making an entirely new map for an upcoming season, which would still make it 50% less than what PUBG currently offers. However, since they changed the map so fucking often, it doesn't seem like we're still playing on the same space that we did throughout the game's life cycle. Having a second map doesn't seem like a necessity in Fortnite given the constant alterations. However, it might be a great way to change up how stale it can be to go through the motions of dropping and looting at the start of each match, like when Neo Tilted and Mega Mall were introduced and you couldn't figure out exactly where all of the spread out items landed. Anyways, what do you think about the possibility of an entirely new map that doesn't seem to refer to anything snow related, which is currently the worst biome in the game? Let me know in the comments section down below. I've been DossSchwanz27, out like John Bolton. Until next time.